Meeting to order. This is a special called meeting of the Scott County Fiscal Court, and it is the 7th day of July 2026. I'd ask you to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Hamilton, will you call the roll?
Mr. Hostetler?
Present.
Mr. Jones?
Here.
Mr. Wallace?
Here.
Mr. Foreman?
Present.
Mr. Ellison?
Here.
Mr. Pratt?
Here.
Mr. Livingston? Mr. Culbertson?
Here.
Judge Covington?
Present. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum and can take action, conduct business. First item on our agenda is the minutes from our previous meeting. Any questions or comments related to those as presented?
Judge, I don't have any questions. I'll make a motion.
Motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next item is bills and hand checks as presented. Any questions or comments?
Motion.
Motion from Kelly Corman, second from Rob Jones. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next, sheriff's fees in the amount of $95,765.52 were presented by Sheriff Jeremy Nettles. And then that takes no action. Just let the record reflect that. And then, Mr. Culbertson, will you please read the sheriff's tax settlement for 425 through 426, and we'll go from there.
Yes, sir. Scott County Sheriff's Office, Sheriff Jeremy Nettles, 2025, tax settlement, April 16th, 2025 to April 15th, 2026, Scott County Fiscal Court. Sheriff's receipt, $4,036,804.28. Court ordered increase, $76.65. Franchise taxes, $166,236.60. Supplemental additional billings, $7,374.80. Penalties, $7,599.40. Exonerations, $2,240.84. Discounts, $72,921.23. Delinquent real estate, $32,470.07. Delinquent tangible, $1,824.97. Delinquent franchise, $6.30. Uncollected franchise, $25,533.76. Sheriff's commissions, $173,531.52. Refunds current year, $2,051.62. Refunds prior year, $2,136.74. Refunds tangible, $489.25. And refunds franchise, $1,878.23. Total due to Scott County Clerk, $3,903,007.20. Amount paid, $3,903,007.18. So the balance is 2 cents.
Thank you for that, and that does not require any action, just simply for the record. Then the next item, I will ask Chris Runyon to share EMS promotion and new hire.
Good morning, Judge Magistrates. We don't have a new hire to present this morning, but we are asking for a promotion of one of our part-time employees, Zach Smith. He just received his advanced EMT, so he'll be moving from EMT to advanced EMT. The new pay rate will be $16.60 an hour, and that will be effective the next pay period, July 18th.
Questions or comments? Rick Hostetler.
Did you say part-time?
Mm-hmm. He is part-time.
That's what I thought. So he'll remain part-time.
He will, for now, yes.
Motion, Judge.
Motion. Second from Ryan Pratt with a second. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Now, we'll have a short discussion. If you could set the table and just give us a outline of the EMS request from Grant County for mutual aid. And I shared this by email. So I'll let Chris kind of outline it.
Yeah, so I was recently contacted by the director of Dry Ridge Fire and EMS in Grant County, and he was just informing us that because of the construction work on I-75 and the bridges going into Cincinnati, that it's not going to be feasible for them to transport their critical trauma patients any longer to University of Cincinnati, which is their current practice. So they're going to have to go to UK instead, so they'll be traveling through Scott County to do that, and they wanted a mutual aid agreement with us that if they have critical patients that need extra supplies or personnel, that we would be willing to intercept those ambulances and put personnel and supplies on board to help transport them on to UK.
Questions or comments?
Yeah, so Chris, you were, I had talked to you about this earlier, and you were going to try to get the number of runs or estimated amount of runs that you could potentially see.
Right, and I have not received that yet, so I know that's going to be a critical piece of information before we make a decision, but I at least wanted to start the conversation to see what questions you had I could take back to him, so when we do decide, we'll have all the information available.
And we didn't want to take any action today. We just wanted to try to answer questions, and then if the pleasure of the court was to draft an MOU for you all to review, then we could go from there.
Does Grant County have any kind of proposed draft?
They haven't presented anything to me. We've had several phone calls and one in-person meeting. They are, they run paramedics on their trucks, so I can't imagine this is going to be a common thing. It's just going to be for those critical patients that need supplies they may not carry, like blood or certain medications. So I don't foresee it being more than just a handful of times, but again, until we have those statistics from him about how many they actually run. I know they have a big chunk of interstate that runs through there, so.
When you get that, could you share that
Absolutely.
with Stacy, and Stacy will distribute and copy me
Absolutely.
as well?
It would
Rick.
seem reasonable, but they probably they're passing through Boone County now, Grant, and Boone County.
Yeah, they have these agreements in place with the Northern Kentucky agencies to intercept them now if they're going north, but they won't be able to do that.
Sure,
once the
they could
bridge
share
is-
something
Yeah,
along
sure.
that line.
To reinvent the wheel.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Any
I'll
other-
ask for that.
Any other questions? And
Do they pass through more than Boone County? What's above?
Kenton.
Boone and Kenton.
So surely they've got something with
Yes,
those
I'm
folks,
sure.
and like Cam just said, we don't have to reinvent the wheel if we're gonna do something. Just kind of look at what they're doing with those two counties.
I don't.
so that's them having this type of agreement with Boone and Kenton already.
It seems like they would.
Ryan, you
Yeah, just like I think it's a fine idea. I mean, it happens all over, but it just seems for right. If they're transporting somebody south that's a trauma patient, to take time to stop, they need to weigh the pros and cons as well, right? I mean,
Right.
it's not like you just stop and somebody just jumps on and you keep going, right? I mean, you have to rendezvous somewhere. That's all time that they're slowing down from getting to the trauma center.
Correct.
So that's
That's
not
also a liability.
yeah. I mean, that's not artists. They're making that decision, but still, it's a bold choice in my opinion. So I wouldn't stop. I'd get there as fast as I can, but that's me.
That's the only thing, Judge, I would like, if you could get that information for us on the runs, and so we kind of can have an idea about what we're looking at and what obligations the county would have. That's what I.
and then share if there's a standing agreement available that we could use as a
Template of some sort.
template, and then we could share it, and we can go from there. But
All right.
but I do think the data on the runs will be a key piece of evidence. So, thank you. Next, I shared a need to reappoint 4 individuals to the Lytle's Fork Recreation Area Committee, Advisory Committee. Kurt Ramsey, term will expire 4/30/29. Andrew Bagoon, term will expire 4/30/29. Michael Johnson, 4/30/30, term will expire. And then some guy named Roy Cornett, his term will expire 4/30/30. Any questions or comments? Any questions or comments? And then we do have a couple other seats that we will need to advertise the opportunity and fill. As I shared in the email, Temple resigned, and there's one other individual I think is going to resign as well. So
Motion.
motion from Rick Hostetler. second from Kelly Corman. Any other questions or comments?
Just one comment. I mean, I appreciate what these guys do, and it sounds like probably a simple deal, but they're actually quite involved in taking care of that area, and I appreciate it.
No, I as well. So we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Let the record reflect.
David, did you vote on that?
I did, yes. I was on 6.
Okay.
All right. Now, that leads us to item ordinance 2604, second reading for accessory dwelling units. This is a second reading. I will ask Cam to read the summary, then I will offer opportunity for any public comment on. I tell you what, let's go ahead and take any public comment, and then because we've already done a first reading on all of them, we can take any public comment on any of the three ordinances, and then we can consider them
Can we-
each individually.
Can we do comments per ordinance
Okay. Does that make it easier for the?
minutes?
Yes, ma'am. I'd be happy to do it. So, why don't you read it then, and then we'll take comment, and then any comment from magistrates.
All right, Scott County Fiscal Court Ordinance Number 2604, an ordinance amending the Georgetown-Scott County zoning ordinance regarding accessory dwelling units. Summary. 1. Pursuant to its powers under KRS 67.083K, adopts the recommendations of the Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission following a public hearing on April 9th, 2026, for amending the Georgetown-Scott County zoning ordinance regarding accessory dwelling units. 2. Adds a definition of accessory dwelling unit, ADU, and amends the definition of agricultural uses. 3. Under specific use regulations, adds a new section on accessory housing, which includes sections on purpose, applicability, and general requirements, including certificate of occupancy, structure type, wastewater disposal, recording, sale or transfer of accessory housing units, and density, and additional standards, including size, density, occupancy, and design. 4. Provides that if any section, subsection, paragraph, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of this ordinance is declared illegal or unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such declaration shall not affect the remaining portions hereof. 5. Grants the Planning Commission discretion to make non-substantive revisions as necessary to ensure internal consistency, clarity, and conformity with adopted formatting standards. 6. Provides that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. 7. Takes effect upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination at the office of the Scott Fiscal Court Clerk, 101 East Main Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324. It was introduced and publicly read for the first time on June 25th, 2026, and the second reading is today, July 7th, 2026.
Would ask and provide opportunity for any public comment on that. If there is none, then any comment from any magistrate.
So my opinion on the 5 acre and this additional dwelling unit, to me, when we pass this ordinance, it's going to increase people wanting 5 acres. Because now instead of building one house on 5 acres, you're going to get to build 2. To me, I think that's going to push the 5 acre sales more. That's just my opinion. Everybody's got their own opinion, but that's my opinion. I think it's just going to push it more and not help our other ordinance. So, just my opinion.
And the flip side of that is that someone that owns an existing 5 acre lot
Exactly.
would have the opportunity, instead of splitting off another 5 acre lot, to build. So that's you know, I've shared the data on the 5 acre lots and such. So I see what you say, and we'll come back in a year
Which I appreciate.
and intentionally look. Whitley and the team, Holden's team, have gathered a lot of data on this, and I really appreciate that. But we will come back in a year and let's see what the trend shows us. But I do respect, and that could be an outcome. But the other flip of it is that someone that wants to build on an existing 5-acre tract that's really not producing any agriculture. People are mowing their yard, yada, yada, yada. It could be an opportunity for them instead of carving off another one. Any other comment? David Livingston.
Yeah, I agree with Rob, but I also look at the other side. The plus side of it is, with folks living longer, parents need a place to go instead of long-term care facilities.
That's my reason for
The
saying
other thing
5 acres
too,
on 7.
when a house in my neighborhood in Bradford Place sells for over $400,000, kids are not going to be able to, young adults that get married or that stay single and have a job are not going to be able to afford homes, which allows their family to possibly build the ADU that, almost like like it used to be when generational kids stayed on the farm, they stayed close to home, they had different houses on the farms, and now it's just on 5 acres, but it provides that opportunity for not only aging parents or aging relatives, but also children to come back home and be able to have a place that will be their own in the future.
Appreciate those comments.
Well, and the other
Rick
side,
Hostetler.
well, the other side of it too is you don't get to add another driveway, right? You're not going to add more utilities. I think you have to use all same water. You may have to enhance. I can't remember how it's worded. The septic system, depending on what you're on. I think you might have to enhance that depending on what you're building. But I think the goal was to do what David said, be able to kind of help families and aging parents and so forth be able to for their families to be able to tend to one another better. Whether it enhance the sale of 5 acres, I don't know. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. Because it doesn't only apply to 5 acres. I mean, you could have a bigger place and still build an ADU, and I'm assuming you can have a smaller place in a smaller lot out in the county, and could add on that
No.
little.
Minimum is
Am I-
5.
Is it, okay, I couldn't remember if that's how it was stated or not. Thank you, yep.
And just
Any other
just
comments?
one more comment. Appreciate the comments. But to allow the additional unit on that 5 acres, I feel like it's going to push people to buy that 5 acres more than they are going toward a cluster development. And the whole objective of all these ordinances we're looking at is to save farmland. And I don't think we're headed in the right direction by approving this. So,
Appreciate your comments. Let me ask you this, then if not this, then what?
we need to look at the 5 acre deal.
Are you proposing going to a higher minimum lot size?
If we want to save farmland, we have to. That's just the
What-
bottom
what
line.
would
If
be
we
your
wanna save
recommendation?
farmland. I haven't really thought about it that far, but I just think that if we want to save it and stop the 5 acre tracts, we have to look at either increasing it or something. I don't know the answer. Like you say all the time, that, what is it? Whatever.
If ifs and buts were candies or nuts, we'd all have a Merry Christmas.
Can I ask a question that applies to every bit of this?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
David
that applies to
Livingston.
Multiple ordinances. If there's a farmer out there that has had their land passed down from their parents to them, and they're a middle-aged farmer, and their kids have no interest in farming in the future, and that land can only ever be used for farming or large lots that are essentially almost unaffordable, what do you tell that farmer's kids when they inherit that land? Hey, sorry, we trashed your value of your farm. You're either going to have to farm it or you're not going to get anything out of it because it's not really buildable because you got to go 10 acres or in that situation. I understand the preserving of the farmland. I get it completely. But at some point, you got to look at the future generations that may not want to farm in that family, that want to sell, and that's the savings
it's
that their
not-
parents has passed. The parents may not have passed along a lot of money, but they have bought that land, they have worked that land for years, and that land has significant value, and that is the inheritance to the children. And I don't think a governmental body should sit up here and dictate what the value of that land could possibly be in the future by the decisions we make on restricting what they can do overall that we know would diminish the value of that land.
I agree with you on those comments.
And my parents don't own a farm. My parents don't even live here. So nobody's leaving me anything.
And it's not the future, it's right now. It's happening right now. Because the kids are not wanting to come back home to run the farms. So it's happening right now. I don't know where we go with it, just like you said. I don't know where we go.
Let's shut down short-term rentals in Scott County.
David, that's what he said.
Oh, look,
Hold on. But you see what I'm saying? If we do that, let's shut down short-term rentals, because people that own those shouldn't be able to give them down to their kids. And they shouldn't be able to sell them as short-term rentals. They should turn back into residential properties. You can't have short-term rentals in certain spaces. You can't, you start getting into people's business that is their money in their pockets and and Rick, we've talked about property rights for a long time over the years. And so at that point, I know you all want to save the farmland. My suggestion is figure out how to buy the farmland so you can save the farmland. Don't tell somebody else you can't do that.
thank you, Mr. Livingston.
Very good statement.
Ms. McDowell, would you like to make a
I
comment?
sure would.
So really, we've already had public comment on this.
There's
but I will,
many a young farmer that's wanting farmland to farm, and they can't get it right now. And the way this land is selling, it's out of reach for everybody. We've sold ourselves. Other counties went to higher acres a long time ago. Everything's being pushed to us. I talk to young people that's wanting to farm. They can't get land. They can't lease it. If you vote yes on all this stuff, it's for realtors only. And one day when we don't have sewer and water, you're going to be sorry of it. I've made my opinion.
I appreciate your opinion. I'll have to respectfully agree to disagree.
Are we back to public comment?
No, we've already had public comment on this, and Philip, out of respect, but we're not going to.
I'll keep it real short.
Yes.
I will. So, Philip Howard. So, David, I understand where you're coming from. In my household, family business is family business. Kids, parents, whatever. So, from my take on that, that needs to be something. My family, we look to leave that as a legacy, okay? Now, our kids may not agree with that legacy, but, that's our choice. So if they feel that's a burden, they should, they're reaping benefits no matter what that cost is. But we're taking the sacrifice to work to try to increase the acreage, to try to make sure there's food security and room for agriculture or even green space at this moment. I mean, me and Rick talked about it last meeting. Even in the northern end of the county, that land is precious no matter what. I mean, God intended it to be there. So whether it's there for the birds or the cattle or whatever it is, the green space is still needed. So somebody at some point has to make that decision and that sacrifice. And if those parents are good enough to leave that land to the kids, either honor it or be thankful for what you are given and left in control of. But that's all I've got to say.
So any other comment from folks? We already had public comment on this.
I'm sorry.
And Ms. Singer,
I'll sit down.
I'll allow you
I'll sit
to,
down,
but
that's fine.
on the next two, we're going to take one round of public comment. We have met numerous times, and we have talked numerous times about this. So, yes, Ms. Singer, go ahead.
I've been actually out of the country, so I've been out of the country for 3 weeks. But anyhow,
We've been talking about this for like 6 months, though.
Oh, I know, and I've been part of it too. Oh, that's okay. I'll sit down.
No,
it doesn't sound like you are really
Ms. Singer, go ahead.
Polly, and it's Polly Singer Erdley, Eardley. The farm that I have, I inherited from my parents. It's been in the family since 1780s. And I will have to say, I respect where everybody's coming from, but I just would like you to hear my view as someone who's in that position. I inherited the land. I don't see dollar signs. I'm trying to find ways to make my farm agriculture. I lease it out to Cage Crews. Works very well. Something that hit me, and I'm not trying to be smart aleck here, but the government tells people what to do all the time. You tell people how fast to drive, how much to pay in taxes. The government tells people what to do with their land all the time, how much they can do. I've had my yard dug up so many times. I've had signs taken off my land so many times. So the government does tell people what to do. But all that is aside, and just that I ask you to really consider what you're doing. I know it's really hard being up there. You know, you don't know what the future is going to hold, how things are going to work, but all your votes create a legacy for the future, and it's just how you want to be remembered. And people do move here for the farmland and the beauty. They really do. And I know it's tough because we're a growing community and you're trying to balance stuff out, but people love the way it looks. And I know agriculture, oh, it doesn't seem like much, oh, you know, whatever. But the agritourism is really important, and a lot of other counties are getting on that, and we have that too. So that's something I just ask you to think about. And I know, you know, you've been talking about it, and I know it's a, you know, it's a very passionate issue, but I just want to thank you for your time.
Thank you. Magistrates, any other questions or comments? And David Livingston.
Just one thing, that remember this, no matter how it's voted on today, that if the city annexes that farm, it makes another decision in the process. So what we do here today is not a standing decision, because the city can annex a farm and then determine what happens with that farm.
Any other comments? Would there be a motion?
Motion.
Motion from David Livingston.
Second.
Second from Chad Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
No.
Have one no. Motion passes. Thank you all. We'll come back at the July 2027 and we'll review facts and data. And if we need to make adjustments, we can do that at that time. The next one is Ordinance 2605, second reading, rural cluster subdivisions, preserved acreage. And at the last meeting, as a result of public comment, we made an adjustment under number 4, fencing of septic system areas located within the preserve, and we added the fencing shall comply with the relevant requirements of the adopted landscape and land use buffer ordinance. And that was adjusted into your final draft.
That's correct.
Any questions on that? And that was a result of public comment at the last meeting. So with that said, I'll ask Cam to read the summary. Then I will take public comment, one round of public comment from anyone about this particular ordinance, and then we'll go forward.
All right, Scott County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2605, an ordinance pertaining to preserve acreage on rural cluster subdivisions. Summary. 1, pursuant to its powers under KRS 67.083H and KRS 67.083K, enacts regulations pertaining to the preservation of agricultural land and maintenance of septic systems on preserved acreage for rural cluster subdivisions. 2, requires that all preserved acreage on rural cluster subdivisions shall be permanently protected by a conservation easement. 3, requires a maintenance assurance mechanism in the form of a bond or other financial guarantee for the purpose of inspection, maintenance, repair, replacement, pumping, and operation of any septic system or wastewater treatment facilities located within the preserved acreage of a rural cluster subdivision. 4, requires a preserved area septic system maintenance master plan for rural cluster subdivisions. 5, requires fencing for septic system areas located within preserved acreage. 6, provides that if any section, subsection, paragraph, sentence, clause, phrase, or portion of this ordinance is declared illegal or unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such declaration shall not affect the remaining portions hereof. 7, grants the Planning Commission discretion to make non-substantive revisions as necessary to ensure internal consistency, clarity, and conformity with adopted formatting standards. 8, provides that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. And 9, takes effect upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination at the offices of the Scott Fiscal Court Clerk, 101 East Main Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324. The first reading was held on June 25th, 2026, and the second reading is today, July 7th, 2026.
Would there be any public comment? Comments from magistrates?
I said this last meeting, I'll say it this meeting. I like what we did here. You know, this was a lot of what this ordinance does was from public comment, was from our stakeholder meetings, right? Like this, I think, allows me to vote for the cluster ordinance because of the protections we put in for the community with this thing. So I like that we've changed it and edited it. And
Thank you for that comment. I agree. Any other comment? Would there be a motion? Motion? Would there be a second? Kelly Corman with a second. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
One no. The ayes have it. Motion passes. Thank you all very much. We'll come back in 1 year and look at that as well. And then ordinance 2606, second reading, just on cluster subdivisions. I will open the floor for public comment in regards to this. Comment from magistrates.
Oh, is he not going to read the ordinance first?
Well, we can read it now. We'll read the summary then, and then we'll take any comment from the magistrate.
All right. Scott County Fiscal Court, ordinance number 2606, an ordinance amending the subdivision and development regulations in Scott County and the Georgetown-Scott County zoning ordinance regarding cluster subdivisions. Summary. 1, pursuant to its powers under KRS 67083K, adopts the recommendations of the Georgetown-Scott County Planning Commission following a public hearing on April 9th, 2026, for amending the subdivision and development regulations in Scott County and the Georgetown-Scott County zoning ordinance regarding cluster subdivisions. 2, amends the subdivision and development regulations to add definitions for American Association of State Highway and Transportation Officials, Institute of Transportation Engineers, Traffic Impact Study, and Kentucky Revised Statute, and amends the definitions of agricultural or horticultural use and cluster subdivision. 3, amends the subdivision and development regulations regarding cluster subdivisions to address cluster development, density, lot size, preserved acreage, planning commission review, septic system, maximum number of cluster lots, access points, individual lot standards, size, width, setbacks, roads, required landscaping, buffering, and fencing, water supply, fire protection, plat requirements, restrictive covenants / deed restrictions, fences, soils, and homeowners agreement. 4, amends the Georgetown-Scott County zoning ordinance to amend the definitions of agricultural uses and cluster subdivision. 5, provides that if any section, subsection, paragraph, sentence, clause, phrase, or a portion of this ordinance is declared illegal or unconstitutional or otherwise invalid, such declaration shall not affect the remaining portions hereof. 6, grants the Planning Commission discretion to make non-substantive revisions as necessary to ensure internal consistency, clarity, and conformity with adopted formatting standards. 7, provides that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict with this ordinance are hereby repealed. 8, takes effect upon passage and publication. The full text of this ordinance is available for examination at the office of the Scott Fiscal Court Clerk, 101 East Main Street, Georgetown, Kentucky, 40324. The first reading was June 25th, 2026. The second reading's today, July 7th, 2026.
Thank you. Comments from the court?
I'll make a comment on the cluster subdivisions. And Rob, you're talking about the 5-acre tracts. In my area, and I know it's all over the county, there's been a lot of people buy a farm, put a road down the middle of it, do 5-acre tracts down both sides. Because that's what's easy. But I hope this gives somebody an opportunity to do the cluster and preserve a lot of green space and farmland and not just have 35-acre tracts. So that's why I like it. And I think the original cluster was probably trying to address that. It just has been used once in the last 20, 25 years. So hopefully, this may work better.
And I hope you're right, Kelly. I really do, because this director here, this is my third director working on this ordinance, where I was on plan zone for 8 years. We worked on it then, working on it with Holden. It seems like every director comes in wants to tackle this one issue. So it is an issue, and it really needs to be looked at. Hopefully this will work it out. I don't know. I have my doubts, but hopefully it does. I'm so glad the judge is wanting to come back in a year and revisit everything.
We will.
And look at it again, so we can all look at this and say, hopefully, I'm not for this ordinance. I don't think it's going to help the situation, so that's where I still stand.
I appreciate those comments.
I do appreciate everybody's thoughts, the work that's been put into all these ordinances. Like David said, we've been working on this for 6-7 months now. It's been quite a few meetings. The staff has worked on it tirelessly, and appreciate all they've done. So,
And I will agree with your comments that Holden, I don't want to hang this on Holden, because I came to Holden and after comments from the community about wanting to look at it. So, but like, Holden hit the ground running, Rob, just like you said, and they've done a great job of working on this, and they really have spent a lot of time. I will make this one comment. As the data I shared between 2010 2026, there's a plus 2,100 acres that went into 5-acre tracts in that time. And, if the cluster, let's just substitute, if that had gone into cluster, then half of that would have been preserved. But I don't have a crystal ball, but we're making the best effort to try to address what was presented as the concern of the 5-acre tracts. And I pledge that we will come back after a year and look at the facts and data. And if we need to make adjustments, we will. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a magic wand.
I'm trying to get it.
If you do, you let me know. You let me know.
I want
But
to talk to Rick about that 13 acres. I want to know who the man is, where he lives, and I want to go visit him.
but
I've called him all the time, and
but we're trying to make an effort to see what this does, and we'll come back in a year and look at it. So it's been a real time and concentrated effort to try to make a difference, a positive difference. So with that said, comment from Ryan Pratt.
Yeah, I'd just like to say, kind of with David, I know Rob just mentioned it, this has been a long process. We had probably 5 stakeholder meetings. I think I made 4 of them. During those meetings, we heard from farmers and developers of what could and couldn't help. Right, the whole goal was to save farmland, and I think that's what we're trying to do. We looked at PDR, right? This court put in $500,000 of PDR money, with the potential, we have to wait for the U.S. government to save, I think we're at 200-something acres that we're going to PDR potentially. We talked about transfer of development rights. We talked about clusters. We talked about all these things, and we finally landed on, with the help of the community, planning and zoning, public comment, right? This as an attempt with clusters and ADUs to continue to save farmland. So, like everybody said, who knows, if it'll work or not. What I know is what we're currently doing is not working at all. So I'm glad that we're going to try this and see what happens and come back in a year, and hopefully we've saved farmland, and hopefully we can look back and say, hey, look at this great thing we've done. So, like we said, we don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if it's going to work. I hope it works. So.
But I appreciate everyone's efforts and everyone's comments and respect them. And we will come back in a year. So any other comment? Would there be a motion? Motion from Kelly Corman. Second from Chad Wallace. Any other questions or comments? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? No. We have 2 no's.
2 no's.
Dwayne, can you clarify? Aye. So the ayes have it. 1 no. Motion passes. As I've said before, we will come back in a year and review, and I appreciate everyone's efforts and comments and respect those as well. With that said, since this is a special called meeting, we cannot have any new business.
Motion
to adjourn. Second from Kelly Corman. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed?